Today we're talking about our time in Machu Picchu, Peru. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how to travel to Machu Picchu, and we are going to show you the best way for lazy pandas, basically. So we started our journey in
Lima, and then we moved over to Cusco.
Yes, so we flew from Lima to Cusco. Cusco was kind of a shock to the system because by that time we had been in South America for 3 weeks, and I was so accustomed to only hearing Spanish, and then when we landed in Cusco,
Everyone else was there.
everybody was speaking English because they're so used to tourists. Cusco was also very difficult for us physically because of the altitude. I really felt out of breath.
Yeah, you were a little bit more out of it compared to me.
I felt like I was dying actually. And then you had?
I did have a headache. Just adjusting to the altitude. I think the altitude definitely works on you, and that's something that you have to be prepared for. There are herbals that are available for you to take.
I didn't take any of them though. We adjusted after the first day, but the initial shock was jarring.
I don't think you actually realize how high up you actually are.
So yeah, Cusco is a very cute and charming town, and you will most likely be spending 2 nights there. So you spend your first night there, and then you start making your way to Machu Picchu. And the way you do that is you go via
Peru Rail.
Yeah, so you go via train. We booked a whole tour through a tour company, which I will link up in the description of this video. And they bought our tickets, and they met us in Cusco and transported us to the train station. And then we caught the train and went over to Aguas Calientes, which is the town at the bottom of Machu Picchu. How was the train ride for you?
I think the train ride actually was a beautiful experience. Going there, obviously, you have the views of the mountains, you see the peaks. They give you a meal, cake and coffee and tea and stuff. But I think the experience as a whole, it definitely brings you into what you're actually going to be experiencing in Machu Picchu.
It's very scenic train ride. A lot of mountains, rivers, it's very beautiful. And Aguas Calientes is this really tiny town that only exists so that people can go up to Machu Picchu. There's nothing else in this town except hotels, restaurants, and basically tourist facilities.
And the train running through the town.
The train runs directly through the town. So when you're walking over the train tracks, please be careful. And then going up to Machu Picchu.
Early morning rising.
So we met our guide at about 5 a.m. and we went to queue at about 5:30.
But very organized. I think when we were doing the planning for the trip, there was videos that we had seen before, and I think it was at that stage it wasn't as organized.
Yeah, it was very chaotic from what we saw beforehand. So we were kind of concerned, but when we got there it was super organized because I guess the authorities kind of put their foot down. So basically our entry into Machu Picchu, the ticket said 6 a.m., which meant we needed to be on the 5:30 bus, which we were. If you have, for example, a 7:30 entry ticket, then you need to be on the bus at 7. And if you're going in at 11:30, you need to be on the bus at 11. So basically catching the bus depends on the time on your entry ticket.
But there's a lot of people, there are guides, there are people there making sure that you're on the right bus and you're not trying to jump the queue or anything, which is good.
If your time is later, you will not be on an earlier bus. You will
Exactly.
be on your allocated bus only. They're pretty strict about that. When you get to the top after a 20-minute bus ride, really steep bus ride. By the way, there is an option to walk up to Machu Picchu from Aguas Calientes. It takes about 90 minutes,
Yeah.
but probably if you are a lazy panda like me, probably take you like 3 hours.
I was going to say 4.
Realistically speaking. So the tour company also bought our bus tickets because you do pay extra for that. And then we got to the top at 6 a.m.
Just before 6, that's where the crowd was. Something which I think both of us have been saying through the whole trip is you always want to be the first people entering in. This is one of those cases where you want to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning before the crowds come through so you can start taking those pictures.
So like we were the first people in, and even though there were quite a lot of people, it wasn't crazy. Like we got in, and when you get in you need to have your passport. Please don't forget your passport. Your entry ticket and your passport need to be with you. We got in and it's quite a smooth path, walking to the different viewpoints. You can take pictures from anywhere as long as you don't cross the little string barriers that they have. Really advise good walking shoes. I know that you see pictures of influencers in these really like flowy dresses, and I've seen one of this particularly famous influencer barefoot. Please don't think that you can go there in your flip-flops looking at these kind of pictures. The terrain is pretty rocky.
Yeah.
It's not like mobility accessible or anything like that. You need to be able to walk quite a bit up and down stairs, and not even stairs, like uneven stairs. So.
But I think from the 6 o'clock when we walked in, the sun came out a little bit later. We were there for the sunrise. The sun coming up over the mountains.
It's really well worth it to be there at that time. You get beautiful photos with gorgeous light, if that's something you're into, which I am. So yeah, and you can't take your tripod, which is another reason that we were so lucky that we had our guide.
Yeah.
And she took some really beautiful photos of us. So just be aware of that. And once you're inside there, there's no bathrooms. And this is really important if your bladder is this small, like mine. So when you get in at the entry point, that's the last bathroom facility you have. And once you're inside the complex, no bathrooms, no shops. So bring your own food. You are allowed to eat as long as you clean up after yourself. And there will be people patrolling and walking around telling you where you can sit or don't lean against this or those
The thing is, I
things.
think it's also for safety and also to make sure that the experience is one which is memorable also. Once our guide left us, around about 9:30, 10?
Yeah, so we were with her until 10 o'clock and then we picnicked for maybe another 30 to 40 minutes and then we left. So we were in and out within like 4 hours.
Yeah, but we managed to see everything. We managed to get good shots, good videos of everything before the massive.
When we were leaving at 11,
That's when.
I couldn't believe the sheer volume of people that were entering at that time. So please go in with realistic expectations that the later you go, the busier it will be.
Yeah.
Because there is a train that arrives in Aguas Calientes at about 10:30, and then those people just head straight up to Machu Picchu. So they're entering at about 11. So, between 11 and 2, it's just a ton of people in there. And then people go back to Cusco in the afternoon. So the middle of the day is when it's the busiest. So that's why I recommend spending at least one night in Aguas Calientes.
And there's some beautiful restaurants that you can go experience also. The thing is, go early in the morning, enjoy the not really having the crowds. Go back, enjoy the town by itself.
And then head back to Cusco. And that's why I said you would spend 2 nights, a minimum of 2 nights in Cusco, because you spend the night before you take the train, and then you take the train back, and then you spend another night there. So when you are booking your accommodation, you need to be cognizant of that. Lastly, I just want to say that visiting Machu Picchu this way is probably not the most cost effective. If you walked, that would obviously be the best thing if you really wanted to cut costs. But this is probably the quickest way, and if you are not a very fit person then this might be a good way for you as well. And I'm really happy that we booked everything through the tour agency, and having a guide at Machu Picchu was amazing. We would not have gotten that quality of knowledge without her. She was a local guide. She had grown up in the area, so she was really knowledgeable. So I think if you're looking to splurge on your trip in Peru, this would be a good place.
Especially this part of it. I think this part of it, we did, and when we were doing the planning part of it, we said, okay, let's allocate X amount of money for this. And it was worth it.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it. So my tips would be to go early and to book a guide and
Get your passport stamped.
Get your passport stamped with the little Machu Picchu stamp as you're leaving. And to just enjoy your time there and not rush through it, because it really is a once in a lifetime experience.
What else?
And please start planning a trip to Peru, because it's an awesome country.